Hi people, welcome to Blue UK Jazz Dance in the Blue Lab. I want to share with you how to understand my legacy of leadership. I said my legacy of leadership is quite huge. Basically, I sowed the small seeds of promoting the positive images and energy of my African and African culture, heritage, arts. How did I sow the small seeds? I sowed the small seeds by first creating a core mission statement, and that was the mission statement. Was promote the positive images of African culture, heritage, arts, and rounding it up for you and its wider uses, because our culture was used for personal development, professional development, communication skills development, exploring issue-based work within youth clubs, outside youth clubs, within the homes, within the church. It was used wider, and people did not acknowledge that. What was being promoted, basically I wanted to share with individuals, and I was the first individual to share, to talk about what happened. The society was promoting lack of truths about us and and that was a social injustice to us as a people. They were promoting misrepresentation of our culture and misinterpretation of our culture that led to global mass miseducation. And I'm talking in 1981. Before that, when West Indians came to Britain, stereotypes were being spread about them already. And people need to understand stereotypes during slavery were spread and colonialization being spread. So there was no positive images being projected. What happened? The positive images were hidden. And I said to individuals in 1981, 99.9% of all the positive images of African diaspora people contributing to Britain's legacy of achievements, benefits, and contribution to Britain and the world was hidden. Do you understand? And what was happening, we were being stereotyped in the heart of our education, in the heart of our own communities and other communities, in the heart of theatre and in the heart of the creative culture industries. We were slated as a people and being put down. So what happened, one of the key things that created student empowering students, because what happened, it created an opportunity for me as an individual to share with them positive images of us, of what we did as a people, showing them the places, our schools, our churches, our Saturday schools, our cultural groups, our church groups, which was important. That was all part of my core mission statement. As an individual, I needed to show individuals our leadership and what we did as youth within our homes, outside our home, to show that we were constructive youth and that we had faced, basically we were facing extreme institutionalized racism and non-institutionalized racism. We was a people who were not given social amenities to create opportunities to live smoothly in Britain. We had to create them, and generally we had to create them in rundown buildings, and generally them rundown buildings were lost at the end when we created social scenes, we created positive projects and initiatives. Them projects were lost because the buildings that we created them in were taken away from us, and people had to set up new projects. Then our community was dispersed as a people. What happened in 81, drugs got pumped into the area, there was postcode discrimination, and an underclass was created at a time where we didn't need an underclass created. During the 60s, during the 50s, we created communities that were positive, immigrant communities of all cultures in the slums and in the city, recognized for bringing communal cultural values in the society at large. In Manchester, throughout the UK, and were connected to all the different cultural groups and youth clubs by politics. People try to identify black youth are not involved in politics, they're not involved in spirituality. That's not impossible. Black churches are recognized in Britain and out in the Caribbean and in the United States and in Africa for the work they do, for the good work they do for communities. You weren't able to have it in Britain. Black churches stand out for the work that they do within the heart of communities. They don't sit down, they support, they help, they guide, and they bring a communal spirit to other cultures which has not been identified as well as our own culture. Black churches, if you look into the history of them, they had to start within homes. And what happened as individuals, people took their home outside the home, they bought churches, they built churches for the celebration of their spirituality, and they brought that to Britain in an unprecedented way as a group of people who were supposed to be recognised as not contributing to Britain. That's unacceptable. Anyway, cut a long story short, part of my work, my legacy, I'm bringing back self-reflection, reflecting, rethinking on what should have come before. Basically, we have more information today, and I've gone back to do rethinking, gathering information on the web to show people the insight to the hardships, how our legacy is how we use resilience to overcome adversity in the West Indies, in the United States, in Europe, in Great Britain, to the UK, to today. What we have, African Caribbeans are dying earlier than anybody else because of the past unhealthy environments that have been created. The past lack of healthcare is one of the key things that's come up as individuals because of the institutionalized racism. People weren't given equality in healthcare, equality in working places. So my father, his friends, they worked in factories were full of asbestos, and many of them died at an early time. They worked in such poor conditions, working conditions, getting slave wages. It's important to celebrate their legacy, and I'm a person who's going to do that. But what happened first and foremost is for me to celebrate my legacy, and my legacy is simply promoting positive images and energy of me engaged in UK jazz dance, because that challenges the stereotypes that people have perpetuated throughout many years, because I've been doing it since a child, early learning from 64 to 70 to now. I've been dancing to jazz, and it's a tribute for me to still be dancing because it shows value, respect. It shows I'm committed and passionate to make sure that our dances are shown in the proper light and identify the function and role of these dances, which was to bond us, to bring us community bonding, to bring about building camaraderie between friends, to bring celebration, to initiate our self-expression creativity as a subculture, to tell people this is who we are, what we are, and where we come from is one of the key things I've used it for with students, non-students, through the UK and outside the UK.